Hi, I'm Caroline Taylor. I'm here with John Whitfield. We're attorneys in Nashville with the law firm of Whitfield, Bryson, and Mason. And we have got some questions that have been written in online from some people. And so we decided to take some time and hopefully explain some of the answers that will help you guys in navigating your cases. So we got a case we got a write-in from a guy named Jason. It says, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I were in a minor car accident. There was only a little bit of damage to our car, and the other driver's insurance company agreed to pay for the damage. But my wife's been suffering from back pain ever since the accident, and it hasn't gotten any better. Will the insurance company cover the costs of my medical treatment?
Well, thanks for the question. The short answer is yes, that the insurance company should cover the medical expenses, but in order to get that done, a claim has to be made with the insurance company. And how you make a claim could be different ways. You can call the insurance company yourself and say, my wife's been involved in an accident of some sort and she's got this back pain. What are you all going to do about paying for the medical expenses? That's one way to do it. Another way is obviously to hire a lawyer, but you may not need to. If it's a low impact case like this, you may be able to resolve this yourself. Various states have different mechanisms, insurance mechanisms to pay for medical coverage. In Tennessee, for example, they have something called MedPay. And MedPay basically takes care of medical expenses to a certain limit. In Kentucky, for example, they have something called Personal Injury Protection, PIP or PIP. And PIP runs up to typically $10,000 with no fault involved at all. So if you're in a low impact case and you've got medical expenses up to about $10,000 in Kentucky, it can be different in Tennessee. The first thing that you might want to do is contact the insurance company and see what they would do to take care of those expenses. Be careful, because if you contact the insurance company and they want to take a written statement or an oral statement over the phone, not a good idea. But I think it's a better idea just to contact them and let them know, put them on notice. We got these issues. What are you guys going to do about about paying the medical bills?
Absolutely. Next question is from Mary, and she said, I was recently hit by a semi exiting the freeway. Luckily, I was okay, but I spent some time in the hospital and I'm still recovering. The insurance company offered a large settlement, but I'm still worried it won't be enough. What should I do?
Well, that's a little bit different scenario. Whenever you're in an accident with an 18-wheeler or a semi, by federal law, they have certain insurance requirements that they have to maintain in order to transport goods across state lines. In addition, trucking companies are very good about having people at the scene when the case happens, when the wreck happens, when the 18-wheeler is involved with an accident with somebody. They're very good at having people there early on. And so what you have to be careful about is if an insurance company or a trucking company is wanting to make a large settlement. I think the caller said a large settlement. Yeah, you need to be careful about that, because that means they know that they probably are liable, that their driver probably made a mistake or was negligent. They know that you probably have significant injuries. And so they've got more information than you've got. And if they've got more information than you've got, it's very important to at least talk to somebody that does these type of cases, that knows what to look for. Because when you take a large settlement from an insurance company or a trucking company, they will make you sign something called a release. And the release is important, because if you sign the release, then you're signing away the right to ever come back down the road again. So if you've got issues, medical issues that you didn't really know were there when you were hit by the 18-wheeler, and a couple of years down the road, they come into what we call disabling reality, that now I've got these issues I didn't have before. You're out of luck. So be careful. If an insurance company or 18-wheeler company, truck company comes in and starts throwing around some big numbers, be careful. Hire a lawyer.
Absolutely. And sometimes those big numbers, they get a lot smaller once you figure out what your future treatment's going to have.
Well, they truly do. And you get a big number like that and you think, golly, this is going to take care of me for the rest of my life. But you really don't know what's ahead of you. And again, what makes me concerned when I hear that fact pattern is they obviously have more information than you do.
Sure. The next question is from John, and it says, last month I was hit by a drunk driver. I have extensive medical bills and I still can't return to work. The company's offering me a settlement, but it seems kind of low. I don't want to take it, but I need the money to help cover my medical expenses now. Should I take the settlement?
Well, that's a loaded question. Every case is fact specific, and whenever we have cases dealing with drunk drivers, there are numerous things that we need to be watching out for. The first thing you need to be careful about when you have an insurance company that's starting to make an offer of some sort and there's a drunk driver involved, there may be other entities out there that might be responsible. There's a reason that person was intoxicated and got behind the wheel. Perhaps they were at a party, perhaps they were at a bar, perhaps they were at different places where they got the alcohol, and it may be that they were overserved somewhere, and some bar or some establishment might be responsible for negligently letting this person get behind the wheel. Again, what we talked about before, Caroline, when we get in a situation where insurance companies start giving you money, you got to be careful about that, because they don't do that typically. They're not in the business of giving away money. They're in the business of keeping money and not giving it away like that. So it's important that if you've got a drunk driver situation, that you know all the facts. How is it that person got intoxicated, and what insurance coverages are out there, and who else might be responsible? Because you're going to look up, and if you take the money because you've got existing obligations, years down the road, something might occur, some physical ailment might occur that you really didn't anticipate, and then you've got a problem. The other thing too is with medical bills, and we've talked about this before, and I think you and I have had conversations about this before in our law practice, that there are certain coverages you can tap into. Personal injury protection coverage, called PIP, or med pay coverage in some states, where you might be able to get payment for your immediate needs, your immediate medical needs, or immediate lost wages that you're out. And that might tide you over until you can come up for air and figure out exactly what's going on.
Sure. And another great reason I think to go to an attorney and talk about this is obviously to hear those options, but sometimes we have other resources as well that we can tap into. There are companies that actually will give loans to people that have lawsuits to help cover their medical bills in the interim while their lawsuit's going on. So there are certainly some other avenues that you can explore to hopefully help you in that situation.
You're right. There's definitely options that we can utilize to help you get through that hard time, so that you can at least have all the facts out in front of you and the table set, and you can look at it and figure out exactly where you are.
Absolutely. The very last question, which is still on a related note, is from Alfred, and he said, how do I know if an insurance company has offered me a fair settlement for my car accident?
Well, Alfred, you don't know. I mean, the short answer is you really don't know. And I always like to say this, and in our law practice, one of the strengths I think that we have is knowing things that we don't know. And if you're in a car accident and you don't know the extent of your medical bills, you don't have a physician telling you you can expect to have issues down the road like this and this and this, then it's very difficult for you to know whether or not the settlement is appropriate. So often we see clients that come in that have taken settlements because they really didn't know, and it's not their fault. I mean, they just didn't know. They don't know what they're entitled to. They don't know that you are entitled to medical bills, and both in the past and the future. You're entitled to lost wages in the past and the future. You're entitled to pain and suffering from the time of the accident forward. You might be entitled to punitive damages. You might be entitled to all these different things. And so in order to ascertain whether or not it's an appropriate settlement, you've got to know those things. Facts are important things, and facts are stubborn things. And so you have to know all this on the front end. And if you don't, then it's difficult for you to make a determination of whether the settlement's appropriate or not. So you need to know all that. And sometimes you can enlist people to help you to figure out these things, but more often than not, because this is information that's sometimes hard to obtain, you need to get help from a professional, a lawyer of some sort, to help you in that regard.
Absolutely. So if you have additional questions related to this stuff, we're happy to try to help you. Feel free to comment at the bottom of this post, and we'll try to answer those questions to the best of our abilities. But Thank you for everything and for writing in.
Thank you so much.